This is for the people that feel like they are lacking and don't have all their needs met, that feel like, God has forgotten about them. I see different posts where people say, I don't even have money for food, so how am I going to save, and things like that. And so for those of you that don't know me, I'm an accountant. And a lot of times when I post things on different social media sites and I'm talking about, ways to save and things like that, people always say, well, I don't know how I would be able to save because I'm barely making it and things like that. And I get it. The economy is rough. I get it that, we're in a tight situation. Everything is going up except our paychecks. So I get it. What I understand as an accountant or a person that is very keen and understands, money and stewardship is when things go up, then we need to reduce our expenses. We need to change how we spend money and things like that. So a lot of times it's the stewardship. A lot of times it's, we don't want to make lifestyle changes and change with the economy. And so last night I was reading the story of Elijah, which is one of my favorite prophets in the Bible. And one of the statements that Elijah made last night just blessed me so good. He said in 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 2-7 is what I studied. But in the prior verse in 1, Elijah made a comment that said, "The God that I serve." I thought that was powerful because he was letting the people know, King Ahab and those, who were there, letting them know the God that I serve. If you don't know the God that you serve and you don't have faith in the God that you serve, then yes, things may look difficult for you. Things may look hard for you. You may not believe that God is going to come through for you. But I'm here to tell you, like Elijah told them, the God that I serve, I know him as Jehovah Jireh. I know him as my provider. A lot of people say, Jehovah Jireh, the God, my provider. We say a lot of things and make cliches, but you really have to know the God that you serve. When God does something for you, don't put that thing in the back of your mind. Keep that in the forefront of your mind so that you won't forget who he is. And so I just thought that was powerful. The revelation was just like, I just pondered on it for so long because you really do have to know the God that you serve. Otherwise, you don't have no faith or no trust in, the source, the only person, the only one that can do the impossible, right? So the other part of this that I wanted to touch on is that Elijah was obedient. In order for him to see the manifestation of what God was telling him to do in this moment, he had to be obedient and follow God's instructions. And when he did these things, he saw the manifestation. He saw the food. He was able to drink the water, right? And so again, this is 1 Kings 17, verse 2-7, where God told Elijah to go. He had to do something, right? Which requires faith. Go to the east of the Kerith Brook, right? Elijah, those were his instructions from God. Go. So Elijah went. The instructions were, go drink from the brook. That was the first instruction. The second one was, eat what the ravens bring you. Elijah followed the instructions of God. He was obedient for one. He had faith to follow those instructions, even though God gives us instructions and sometimes it looks strange or sounds strange or it looks impossible. But will you have enough faith to go? Will you have enough faith to believe whatever God is telling you to do? And so this is why I love this passage so much, because he heard the instructions. He had the faith to go. And yes, we're talking about a prophet where he's seen, all kind of miracles and things like that. But even still, like, this could be somebody listening to this that does not have faith, that does not understand how God works. And so I'm sharing this because I'm hoping to build your faith, hoping to build your trust and your belief in God, that he can do what he says he's going to do. God is a promise keeper and he doesn't lie. And so he told him to go, drink from the brook, eat what the ravens bring him. God did something natural and supernatural, is what I caught from this. The natural was to go drink from the brook because the water was already, flowing through the brook. But supernatural was God said, eat what the ravens bring you. So God sent the ravens to Elijah to eat. That's supernatural. And the blessing is not only did he just send or command the ravens to feed Elijah, he gave that man bread and meat. Morning and evening is what the word says. Elijah did what the Lord told him to do, and the ravens brought him bread and meat each morning and night. So he didn't have to worry about how he was going to drink or eat because God had already supplied all of that. God had already blessed him with a way. He may not have seen the way in the beginning when God told him go east to the Cherith Brook, but at the end of the day, Elijah recognized the God that he served and that how God would bless him with water and with food. And so I just love the fact that when God says he's going to do something, that we can bank on that. We can take what God says to the bank, as we say, right? We can believe and trust that whatever God says, it has to happen because he cannot lie. He's not a liar. And so, at the end of this passage, the brook dried up because there was no rain. Remember, Elijah said that there was going to be no rain. But I truly believe that Elijah trusted God to make another way in the next part of the story, which I won't go into that. You can pretty much read it, at your leisure. But I just love this story. Like, Elijah is one of my favorite prophets in the Bible because I just love his boldness. Although most people can talk about he got depressed and stuff like that, we're all human. We can get depressed just like he did. But the fact that he was bold to stand up against King Ahab and Jezebel, like, I love his boldness and I love how he moved and how he trusted God. And so I just wanted to share this with you all today to hopefully build your trust and your faith in God, and to know that, God truly is our source. He is truly Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides. And I always tell myself that God has a ram in the bush for me. Just like he had a ram in the bush for Abraham, he has a ram in the bush for me. And I would never lack. I would never go without, because God promised us in the book of Philippians 4:19, God will supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory. So again, we can believe God. We can trust him because his word says that he's going to do these things, and he put his word above his name. So we can believe what God says. So I hope that this blessed you today, because it truly blessed me last night when I was reading it. And I was just like, I have to share this revelation with somebody because it's going to bless them. So you all have a great rest of your day. And I love you guys so much.